Your source for everything paranormal. Para-X. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. For tread the circle thrice about, to keep unwelcome spirits out. Bide within the law you must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Mind the threefold laws you should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. These 8 words the read fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will.
Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron. Now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Hey, Merry meet everybody, and welcome. My guest tonight is Jim Hunt from the TV show Knock Knock Ghost, which is currently available on Amazon Prime, and I actually found it on YouTube today as well. Now, Jim is an acclaimed psychic medium who's become aware of his sixth sense at an early age, like 5 years old, really early. And over the years, he's helped thousands of people around the globe set and achieve goals both personally and professionally with his unconventional methods. He's his out of the box approach to solving problems comes naturally, and overcoming his own struggles and challenges makes him that much more empathetic. Oh, is that the right word? I'm making up my words today. To his clients. So he walks the walk, and his clients appreciate his humility. And for those of you in the chat room, Jim will be happy to answer your questions or comments about mediumship and anything else we're going to be talking about. And there are quite a few things I do want us to talk about. So, Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much, Marla, for that introduction. And, all the words were correct, so we're doing well already. So, perfect.
Well, don't jinx it now. Come on. It can happen. All right. So, your bio mentioned about your unconventional methods, and someone in the chat room said the same thing about being unconventional from watching you on Knock Knock Ghosts. You said that you never fit into society or what they deem as normal, and it was an issue for you growing up, but now you see it as a great asset. So let's talk about that for a minute, because many have gone through or are going through the same thing and should know that being different isn't a curse, and embracing your own unique self kind of lends itself to a whole new wonderful possibility, huh?
Well, in this day and age, it certainly does, and I'm able to handle the controversy or the ridicule or nervousness of people. Back in the 60s, 70s, even 80s and 90s, we were frowned upon. I wasn't looked at as somebody that was someone. I was just regarded as different, and so I was pretty well recluse with a lot of people. I was a people person. I got along with a lot of people, but as soon as they found out that, Jim Hunt's that psychic, I don't think I want to talk to him anymore. It was crazy. It was unbelievable. But it changed, and it changed well in the 2000s, and I've never looked back. Well,
it's a good thing. But it took a while to come out, because, you had a degree you have a degree in logistical engineering and a certificate in culinary arts, and you entered the corporate world anonymously and kept, true to yourself under the radar for nearly 2 decades. And after all those years, you knew that it was time for this life to take a different direction. So what was the catalyst that made that happen?
I was working for in the corporate world, and it was never me. I did not like to be stuck in an office, and looking out the window was probably like anyone with ADD. You just want to get out there and do something, and you just don't know what it is. And I just got tired of the job. I got tired of the rules and regulations and do this, do that type of thing. And I just had enough. And I just said, I might as well just start just doing something for me, and what can I do best? And was being able to be a psychic and give people some information about what was going on in their lives and why they were stuck, the type of contracts that they had against themselves, and why they couldn't live their lives to their fullest. And I was a blunt but honest psychic, and it tended to work for me. And word of mouth got through this very, very quickly within a year. And I was nonstop business 52 weeks out of the year. It was amazing because I was just giving people the honest to good truth about what was going on in their lives or their blocks. And I can't answer everybody's situation, but a majority of them I was able to get through. So it's fun.
Yeah, well, it was meant to be. I mean, all of a sudden it's a hard jump to leave the corporate world or the mundane world even and do something new, and especially something that, people kind of tiptoe around. So obviously you really were supposed to be doing it.
I was blessed with a good partner second time around who encouraged me to step outside and be more comfortable in my own skin. And as much as she was afraid to tell others as well, in a way, she really helped push me towards my goal. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that always helps. Yeah. Well, okay, so let's talk about messages from the other side in helping, because whether they come from mediums or maybe some of us get it directly, the one thing I've noticed from personal experience is, and what other people say too, that the messages we receive come in many different forms much of the time. And really, they seem to be rather cryptic, or at least the ones I get. It makes me scratch my head. So what are some of the differences in communication? Why do they sometimes just dangle a carrot, or are they things that they can't allow to, or they're not allowed to talk about, or what?
I think that the spirit world are always trying to give us messages. They're not trying to be cryptic. I just don't think that we've caught up in our soul's life to be able to get the answers from them. And it's dimensional. It could be a message that could be very simple. And it could be, from the mediumship point of view, I can get almost like sign languages or pointing to something or telling me something that I have to tell someone. In the psychic side of my world, it is definitely auditory, and I get most of my messages to the left side, my heart chakra side. And these messages are unique because it is family and friends, sometimes old business partners or something. I've gone through the whole gamut of all of that. The right side will also give me the answers, but it comes with a price because it's more of a darker energy that's giving me the answers, and they're going to be correct, but it always comes with some kind of a price, or I'm going to pay for this, or I'll be in pain for getting the answer directly from the right side of my body. So it's a little bit different for me as compared to other psychics and psychic mediums or clairvoyants, mediums, spiritual people.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, it's kind of like you got the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, in a sense.
Yeah, that is basically how I look at it, and it is the energy. You can feel the difference of the energy. It's not like they say in the movies. There's a pressure on the left side of positive energy that comes, and I'm not always feeling like there's a negative connotation that's going to arrive. But when it comes on the right side, it's almost like it's pushing the answer because it wants me to share that answer. And you can feel like you're in a vice sometimes because they're trying to make me give it their way, which could be very, very uncomfortable for the person that I might be giving the information to. So I barely ever use anything on the right side of my brain, I guess, to give anyone any information. I always go with my angelic side, my people side, people spirit side.
Mm-hmm. Well, and some people too, they talk about getting messages with the spirit guide. The spirit guide is kind of the mediator between the two worlds.
Yes.
So, and some people get it direct. I mean, do you have a guide that you work with, or are you just opening up to the spirits?
I'm open for business. I I don't categorize them because the spirit world wants to talk to us. They have messages to give. And if I'm going to lock myself onto one spirit, that's just like working for one person. I want all the spirits to talk to me, good, bad, or indifferent. It's up to me to choose the information that I'm getting or to feel comfortable with the information that I'm giving. So it works for me. Not everyone is like me, and I don't think that any psychic or any medium or anybody with their spiritual gifts are the same. There are so many good psychics out there that are so afraid to come out because of being worried about being ridiculed or abused or taken advantage of, and they don't want to be a party favor. We're here to give information, and it works. And I'm solid to that. And I've been reached out by many different psychics now that just say, I don't know if I want to do this because I'm only going to get beaten for it emotionally. And I'm just saying, then don't do it. You do it when you feel ready and you're confident enough that you can tell that person to go blow their own horn, you know?
Well, I think the other part, too, is that great responsibility you carry.
I guess we can look at it that way, Marla, but I'm looking at it is the responsibility rests on the spirits that I'm talking to, and I'm confident enough that I get the information from these spirits to give to people, and I'm not rarely wrong, but they get it. The people that I'm sending the message to get it, and it's not always complete, but then they can fill in the blanks, and then they can move on their way in the life form and continue growing and feeling better about themselves. It's usually messages about people really being upset about not being there when their mom or dad passed away or their loved ones or losing someone. These are what they're looking for, simple messages, so you're going to get them. The deeper ones are when I'm life coaching and we're trying to figure out their contracts that they've had in the past life, what's holding them back, the parental guidance that they got, and trying to take away those blockages. So it's a spiritual job for us to work with someone and find out what's going on. It's a lot of fun.
What about when sometimes, and I've had this happen, that I'll hear something, a statement, and there's nothing behind it. It's just a statement, and it's for somebody, but, you hear it and then they're gone. That's weird.
Marla, do you, when I get these statements, and I know exactly what you're talking about, it is with someone that's within your vicinity, someone who's in a room, someone who is, the spirit is taking the opportunity to broadcast that. They only are given so much strength or an ability to give us that statement, and you are basically then trying to hone in on that person in that room. It could be 100 people, it could be 1,000 people. But there is an aura color that is attached. It's like a little beacon or a buoy that says, go this way, follow the energy this way. I've been kind of lucky. I'm about 60% on finding that person that I'm giving a message to.
Yeah, I think eventually we do find out. One of them with mine, it took me a week or two, but then it made sense,
It does, doesn't it? It's just, it's a beautiful thing too, because they're not giving us the message too late, and it's really, really informs someone, and it gives us such a sense of peace or closure, and that's what I love about doing my job. It's amazing.
Closure is important.
It is.
We've got a message from the chat room.
Sure.
She says, what advice would you give to someone who wants to develop their psychic or mediumship abilities?
First things first. Learn to white light yourself, protect yourself. Don't do anything without learning how to be grounded. Learn how to take care of your chakras. Make sure that you're in alignment, and be prepared for the unknown, the seriousness of some of what we do, and the unpredictability of what a spirit will tell you. You really need to be a Sherlock Holmes in a lot of the information that you're getting, and you've got to feel good about it. If you're feeling uncomfortable about it, don't do it. It took me a very long time to give information, and when I did give the information, it was pretty well spot on. And especially when I was younger, And that's when I was told, hey, maybe you shouldn't share all of this information because people really don't want to know. And I don't think that that was the fact. I think it was that we shocked them by the spirit world giving us that information. And I wasn't getting anything out of it. I wasn't looking for anything out of it. I was just retrieving a message, giving it to someone, and I gave it to them. And a lot of them were shocked by it when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you hear something that you need to pass on, it can be kind of very critical and very bad news. How do you deal with that?
So that's when you start asking the questions to people. And we do the right thing. Try and have some form of a business card with you. Just say, listen, this is who I am. You can reach out to me. I am a psychic, or I am a psychic medium, or I am whomever you feel like you are, and give them that information and just say, can I relay a message to you? Do you know that about 80% of them don't want the message?
They're afraid, yeah.
So I just say, sorry, no problem. Reach out and you'll always have this message because I won't forget it.
I think that's the best way to go. And again, that goes along with that responsibility that people are afraid to, well, if I tell them that one, that person might have a heart attack and it'll be my fault kind of thing. Got to worry about little things.
We're a spiritual mediator, basically, is what we are. And we're giving information to people. And it's important that anyone is receptive to this, because you don't want to go in. I go in always giving them a little bit of humor before I give them the full Monty message. I'm usually going, this is who you are, and you're struggling right now with this job, and you're trying to change this, and you want to move into something else, and your daughter's really been giving you a hard time, and all you need to know is that Mercury in retrograde is over tomorrow, and everything's going to be okay. And I actually did that today, so people were kind of like, oh, okay, thank you so much for that.
Time to breathe, yeah.
Time to breathe, because it was a rough one, this one. So.
Yeah, well, okay, so let's talk about spirits for a minute.
Sure.
Some spirits are active and will respond. Others seem to be stuck in their own little worlds, like residual energies, anniversary ghost, crisis ghost, whatever.
Yeah.
And, because those that are like in the loop or residual energies, they tend to ignore the living world. Is there a way that you can perhaps get through to them and help them out of that repetitive cycle so they can rest in peace? So,
again, you have to put on the Sherlock Holmes hat, because people, as you know, if you've heard the term going in loops and doing the things that they've done, I've always had the story of the librarian that I've worked with who was killed in an intersection here in Toronto, Canada. And I had seen her almost every Friday going through the same thing at a specific restaurant that we were going to. And I had heard all the stories. And she died and still didn't know that she was dead, but she was going through the system and she was hit by a taxi and killed. I couldn't get her attention, and I tried for so long. And I just decided to take some books that I had in my own personal library and just lay them on the intersection. And as she was going through her loop, she noticed that the books were on the ground, and she literally looked up at me and just said, "Why are these books here?" And I just said, "Look, you're dead. You need to go to the light. People are waiting for you." And she looked, boom, she was gone. And remember, there is no thank yous in these things. they get that. Boom, they're gone. They're not going to peek back out of that little white light of theirs and just say, "Hey, thanks a lot for that info."
Maybe they'll come back later, perhaps. Yeah.
Maybe.
So, in that vein, why is it that some spirits seemingly don't know how to cross over? Because lots of people say that at the time of transition, we don't die alone. There's always somebody from the other side that'll help us cross over. But do some people get overlooked, or how are they trapping themselves?
Well, I think that there's so many different variables to this. I mean, go to Pearl Harbor and the men that drowned there and are stuck there.
Yeah.
And for years, they that's all they knew. They were stuck in the hull of that ship.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to them, because they weren't above ground, knowing that they were being attacked. So they died in fear. And for me, when you see a spirit in fear, It's to try and find a way to get their contact or get a visual by them, or actually try and see who's trying to get them to the light, who's not connecting with them, and just say, Grandpa Jones is there, he's talking to you, and then he can turn around and take a look at Grandpa Jones because he's so petrified about trying to get out of that hole. It's about just giving yourself some time to help the dead retrieve their innocence again, or their values of who they are, and stop the fear, and then bring them to the light. It's a job. This is not always TV stuff. It's
Yeah.
I really have a hard time with some of this, and I've had a TV show, and it's the idea is to try and save that spirit, to move them away so that they no longer have to suffer with that. They call it hauntings. They're not always hauntings. They're active spirits trying to find a way out. When we use the word haunting, we use it too liberally. There are hauntings and there are dark energies, but it's not there all the time unless you're looking for it and asking for it. Sorry, I get on a tangent on that one.
Good. I'm going to switch over to demonic spirits because they're all the rage these days, But the term is an oxymoron in a sense because, most people believe that demons are not spirits of the human kind, but, different beings, elementals, whatever. But then when people are on investigation, mostly newbies and stuff, they'll get poked or they'll get pushed a little bit or something, and immediately it's a demon, rather than thinking that it's just a disgruntled or a mischievous human spirit letting off steam or just having a little fun. What's your take on demonic spirits?
Marla, can we both be on the same team here? I mean, that is amazing, because that's basically what I try and tell people. When a demonic enters your space, because you can feel it, you can smell it, you can almost taste it, and it is disgusting. But I don't give them the right time of day. And I also threaten them. If they even as much as come close to me, I threaten them. Because if they do anything to me or to my family, I will turn around when I am dead and I will source them out, and they will always have an issue. So I'm left alone by them because I don't show that fear, because I don't. I don't care about them. But the mischievous one, you're going, hey, you know what? Put on that little dunce hat, go in the corner and relax a little bit, and I'll come back and let you out. Don't, leave them alone. They're afraid. Don't, you just talk to them. They want that attention. And if you give it to them, you just say, are you going to the light this time? Because everyone's waiting for you for the party. Can you just get going? You have to just get on their side of the fence, find out why they're doing this, and then just move on. Some of them don't like the renos that you're doing to some of your homes, and they're going, I don't like that olive green. What the heck are you doing that for? They'll change the color or streak it out with colors of other things or put their handprints on it.
Well, yeah, and you just said something because there's a fan of yours in the chat room.
Oh.
And she said that the uniqueness and one of the best things about you, one from Knock Knock Ghost, is that you talk to spirits as though they're human beings. Yes. You're one-on-one with them, and that, to her, is a really great thing, and it is.
Thank you, because they are. They're. If we had been given this ability to talk to the dead, there's nothing to fear about the dead, because we're all going there one day. And I want to be greeted by everybody just saying, hey, it is true what you said, and I'm glad I'm with you, and let's do this. There's always something that they have to say. There is a message that they always want to give, or they just want to play with your head. But they're not there to make you have a car accident or to frighten you or to do that. Again, there are those that will do that, but that's not who a majority of the spirit world are, especially with the investigators that are out there provoking the dark. My God, I have to go in there and clean house, for Christ's sake. And I'm not into that. But the person that was in there just saying, we need it removed. And I'm going, well, just ask it to leave. And you do it politely. And if it doesn't work, then you do everything else to get rid of it. But I've had hard times with it, but
I think people are afraid to talk to spirit because they're afraid of some kind of retribution or, all the cliches, if you tell somebody to get out, they're afraid that you're going to hear, no, you get out, that kind of thing. And
Exactly.
It kind of freaks people out.
People just have to have everyone has the ability and the courage to learn a new dance step or to learn a new song or to learn a new job or to speak a different language. You have to be the same way with the spirit world. You have to be willing to listen. If you're auditory and you're listening to the dead talk to you, treat them with kindness, because if you're going to aggravate them, they're going to aggravate you back twofold, and they'll make sure of it. It's crazy.
Especially the grumpy ones that were grumpy in this world. They're still grumpy on the other world. So, Yeah,
but, a lot of TV shows are looking for that sensationalism, and they don't like nothing against the company, but it's like, I try and give a Hallmark moment. I'm not there to have people have nightmares because they just watched somebody investigating a haunted home. I want to remove that haunt and let's get along with everybody.
Yeah, that's a great theory. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because we're over time to do a break. It went fast that first half hour. So everybody that's listening, get up, take a stretch, halftime stretch, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Stirring the Cauldron will be right back, so don't go away.
If you end up with wet feet,
remember, you've been warned.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Juarez with Cat Paranormal of Minnesota.
And I'm Jerry Ayers with Supernatural Investigators of Minnesota. And together, we are The Calling. Every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on ParaXRadioNetwork.com.
For a truly unique podcast experience, we have you covered. Spirit Bayou with CJ Dunham airs live from the Third Coast in Southeast Texas on Tuesday and Fridays at midnight Eastern Time, covering Creole folklore and folk magic to strange paranormal activity to new equipment for the field. CJ Dunham is a Catholic swamp witch, a devotee to our Mother Mary and the Trinity, a true believer in our Lord, the Holy Ghost, and Christ. Peace be with your spirit and the spirits by you.
Hey everyone, it's Marla. If you like tonight's episode of Stirring the Cauldron and the archive podcast as well, take a look at the show's YouTube channel and check out the dozens of shows that are there just waiting to be heard. New shows are added each week, and while you're there, why not subscribe? It's free. And if you click on that tiny little bell icon at the top of the page, you'll be notified when new shows are available. Just go to youtube.com and then type in Stirring the Cauldron ParaX and the link will appear. Just like magic.
Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Once again, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
And my guest tonight is psychic medium Jim Hunt, and we're talking about mediumship, spirits, and there's a whole lot more to come. He's got some adventures here and there in different things and different aspects, but I think I have to hit the age-old question for you first, Jim.
Sure.
You've traveled the world.
I have.
And you were looking to see what it's like on the other side and what it's like to die or what we can expect. So what can we expect in the afterlife?
I think we can expect almost immediate peace. Good, bad, or indifferent, we still have to answer to our level of our soul and why we're here. And if we've done something that was not very pleasant on this earth, it was a soul's lesson for us. So we do have to come back and try this all over again, but be better at it. And I think as we grow into our soul levels, we learn so much more, and we catch up to those soul levels quite quickly once we return again. That is my thesis. So, and I've lived with that and understood that and been told that for many years by many elders, by a lot of different psychic mediums or psychics who have seen the same thing or felt the same thing. Every journey that I've taken on any different continent, death is death. I think that I respect a lot of the ways that other countries celebrate your passing. And we in North America make a grim part about that. Yes, you're going to miss us, but it should be one big party and just say, we had a lot of fun together, and let's have one more party because of you. And let's step it out there, because that's what I'm hoping to happen. And I want that to happen here in North America instead of always dwelling on such sadness, because it is sad, because we're going to miss them. But when we're dead, we're going, hey, that was a lot of fun. I want my next adventure.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. I've got 2 questions from the chat room. So the first one is, have you ever seen channeled a spirit guide or deity before? Like maybe visually? Maybe that's what it's asking.
I really don't understand the question. I'm sorry. I
don't quite either. So
okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to answer it because I don't know where we're going with that one.
Yeah, Sherry, re-say it, and then I'll ask again. Now, the second question is, when you communicate with spirits, how much information do you get about that spirit indirectly? Can you tell where that person is coming from?
A spirit will want to represent and give you as much information as possible, especially if they have a message to give. If you're getting a spirit talking to you and they come out with a childlike voice when they're an adult, you know you got an issue here. And some newbies don't know that. So it's always important to know and to ask questions with the dead, saying, hey, where are you from? What year did you die? Give me some of this information. And it's very cool because a lot of them will say, I don't know when I died, but I know I died. And I know where I am. But you also need to talk to Joanne and give her that information and just say, my mom had Alzheimer's, but as soon as she went into the light, she remembered everything. She's healthy, happy, and she's guarding every single one of you and and her grandchildren. They have messages to give, and I love those, But you really need to do it again. Just don't let them talk and just say, this is what's happening, this is where it's going. Ask questions. In an interview, when you're hiring someone, you have to ask these questions. It's the same thing with the dead. You don't know who they are and what their purpose is. Find out first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a friend of ours of the station, Tim Shaw, always says, be very wary because spirits do lie.
Oof. Yes, and you can get the wrong ones, and they enjoy watching you cringe when you're giving that information because they're looking at you like deer in the headlights when you're giving that information and you're going, you SOB. Really? You did that to me when I'm trying to help. And then you just make sure that you just put a couple of rings of white light around their neck just to make them feel better.
Okay, I think I know what the first question was, and
sure.
I think I know the answer to that myself.
Okay.
But I think she said, just curious if you saw physically somebody you're channeling, and you see dead people all the time.
I grew up that way. I don't know anything different, and I've had to be silenced about it because of what I do. And a lot of people have a hard time with mediums in this world, and I'm not sure why. But it's not that I'm not any better of a spiritual informant. I just get to see them and talk to them and understand where they're coming from. And I get to see their changes or the way that they're manifesting to see if they're good, bad, or different.
Well, I think people are a little bit weary about it because of all the fake spirit guides and psychics and everything.
Oh my God!
Because they're the ones that put on a show and get, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and they give everybody else a bad name. Yeah.
I've been doing this now for quite a few years. Mm-hmm. My advertisement is who I am. I have a small following of about 2,600 people. I talk to each and every one of them. I thank them for joining with me. I remove any of the spam. I have a very clean group of people in Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I don't mess around with people that are just in there to cause trouble, because I can feel those people as well. Sure. So I ignore them as much as possible.
Good. All right. So, you've had other adventures because, in addition to your experience research with Canada's haunted locations, mm-hmm. You've had other experiences with gray ET, shapeshifters, elementals, and even Bigfoot. Now, do you think that those who are metaphysically inclined seem to be more open to most of that kind of paranormal phenomenon?
Absolutely. Marla, I think that if we leave ourselves open to watching what's going on in front of us in our world and what we see, we can give that information back that is credible. And it's very important to know, or for people to know in my life, shapeshifters are afraid of psychics and mediums because we can see them for their true form. Mm-hmm. They get frightened, they'll get up, they'll leave, they'll move out of your presence, and you'll never see them again. And for the Bigfoot, the sighting I never had, I only got to see the smell and the fear of our horses and the fear of the staff that were around me that we had to get out of there very quickly. So I've never actually seen a Bigfoot. I've smelt a Bigfoot. How's that?
Yeah, I've heard they don't exactly smell like roses. Yeah.
No, and I think it's going from one sickening portal to another because there's so many portals in our world, and it's very funny that we haven't been able to investigate those more.
So do you think, and that's always a question, I've had guests on the show talk about Bigfoot, several mm-hmm. different cryptozoologists and things, and the consensus is that they do exist, but they're either aliens, interdimensional beings, or even time travelers. What are your thoughts?
I don't know about the time traveling side of it because we here on Earth are only seeing or speaking of the hairy monster side, the long strides, those type of things. Very little communication. They're either whistling or screaming or throwing boulders at our tents. I don't want to be anywhere near them because they're here maybe a little bit lower in the ET side, mm-hmm. and that they are just learning, but they have a lot of different connections that we don't because of different galaxy or different dimensions that are out there. And they come to Earth because we're simple beings, to be honest with you. We're learning every day. And I don't think that we haven't even touched the surface on anything that all of us do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. In the notes that were sent me before the show, shapeshifters jumped at me. They caught my eye because many people strongly believe that witches are shapeshifters, like some of the professors at Hogwarts, the Harry Potter series. And, I'd like to say that there are certain times that I wouldn't mind turning into a cat, really, but haven't been able to manage that in the literal sense. So what kind of shapeshifters experiences that have you had? And define shapeshifters, because maybe some people have different ideas of what they are.
Shapeshifters are sort of like tricksters in a way from the Native American side, the Aboriginal side. In my case, they have taken on human form. my time seeing shapeshifters and watching them run and leave has only been in airports. They work at airports for me. It's weird, but those are the only interactions that I've had with them. And when a shapeshifter notices that you are looking at them and you're looking in them, they will drop anything that they're doing. This one was a host for a local airline. I saw him. He looked. I looked at him. He dropped his walkie-talkie on the door. He dropped his little pegboard, and he skedaddled out of there quite quickly. And some of the people were calling his name, and he refused to turn around and just ran. And I never saw him again. And it's been on 2 instances like that in the last 10 years that I've seen them. And I can feel them on subways. I can feel their presence among us when we're shopping at a mall downtown. And because of COVID, there were less people outdoors, but more shapeshifters were out there. So I was definitely feeling their energy, for sure.
And what about elementals? What types?
I love elementals.
I know, me too. What times have you been talking to or seeing or, whatever?
Feeling,
yes.
So for me, because of what we do, I have no way to release a lot of the energy that I pull in from people when I do a reading. When they've lost someone, I've lost with them. I know it's hard for people to understand that, or if they've had a divorce or a separation or anything, a loss of a job, I'm taking, as an empath, their sorrows with them and trying to help them find the solution. At the end of my day, there is nothing better than going for a walk in the bush, in the forest, in a park, and going to hug a tree and just saying freaking thank you, because they take that energy away from me. If you can walk barefoot in a forest, which I did as a kid, and put your feet on moss, people don't quite understand the release, that because they just take that energy away from us. But don't screw with an elemental. Don't go cutting down a brand new tree when there's 10 dead trees around you.
That's right.
They will get back at you. They will have you have a shitty bonfire and your s'mores will taste like crap. So, don't do those kind of things. But they are there to release a lot of our tension, and they're not there to hurt us. They're not. But if we hurt like we do, like the rainforest, it's an energy that is just in turmoil down there. Yeah. And that the people running those large tractors and tearing down the earth and everything else, a lot of them have had sicknesses, constant headaches. They have done everything in their power to try and make them not do what they were doing in their destruction. Sorry, in their destruction. I couldn't breathe there for a second.
They're clever.
They are.
That's all I can say. They're clever, and I'm glad that they're around.
And if you understand, Marla, and as I do, and maybe people do, and the herbologists or whatever that they do with trees, do you know if there's a sick tree, the trees around them will nourish them to get them to feel better? I mean, what more simple things could we not want? Give respect to the forest, and the forest will respect you. I just love that whole thing.
Yep, leave offerings, and
absolutely,
that's very important.
Yep.
There's a ton more stuff that we need to talk about, but we don't have a whole lot of time. And I really do. Maybe you'll come back and pick up where we left off.
I would love to.
Oh, good. So, but in the meantime, I think we need to talk about your availability for your psychic sessions and also life coaching and what they entail, because that's really interesting.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for asking. Everything that anyone can reach at me on social media is at Jim Hunt Official. So it's on Instagram, TikTok. I only have one thing that's up there, so I'm really trying to learn that one. My website is Jim Hunt Official. So I'm doing all of that, and it's just one contact, and you can take a look at my media in there. For the life coaching, I am I love my life coaching. I love working with people on that level, from my psychic ability to be able to hone in on our inadequacies that we feel or we put ourselves down. I give us back the power that we always should have had. So in that life coaching scheme, there's a lot of work that my client will do, but I'm there to support them. They can email me. They can talk to me. If we really need to talk, we're going to talk that day. And I'm not putting anything against the therapeutic world or whatever. I make myself available for my clients, but I only leave myself open for about 9 clients a day.
That's a lot.
So I do that plus the reading. So I'm always doing something that I have to do, and I love it. I am about 2 weeks out on bookings with people when they're trying to get a regular 30-minute or 50-minute reading. And people are always, after a show, are going online and asking me questions. I have an amazing personal assistant named Nicole who will answer some of your questions to tell you to book me. When we get 30 or 40 questions, Marla, in a night, I can't take the time to answer those like I did 20 years ago. I have to save my space for my family, for my client, and anybody that is actually booking. So that's, I don't want to get people upset when I don't answer. I'm sorry, but I just can't do it.
Yeah, no. And so what do you do when at the end of the day with all that draining? How do you get it back? Where's your energy coming from?
I got, her name is Michelle Desrochiers. She's a demonologist, and now she has her own podcast. She gave me a grounding technique that has worked to keep me sane. I do it in the morning and I do it at night, and it just removes any residual energy that's around me. And I get my 4 or 5 hours of really good sleep before I hear the echoing of voices and talking and people communicating with me, because there's no such thing as turning this off. And I really am upset when I hear a psychic that it has the ability, they say, to shut it off. I don't know how good you are. It doesn't turn off. And I'm going on a rant, but
no, keep ranting. It's good.
A psychic medium is on 24/7. It's me who asks for peace and let me sleep so I can work another day. If you say that you're shutting it off, then that means that you're not in communication with the good spirit world. You're in communication with the dark side of the energy, because they're the ones who are going to give you a break, and they're the ones who are going to give you a hard time. They're the ones who are going to make you depressed and angry and not yourself. I don't have bad connections with the spirit world. They ask politely. They don't push me unless there's an emergency. And anybody in an emergency would want to ask you something. So they sort of jump to the front of the line, and the spirit world will let them jump to the front of the line to ask me a question that I can give to someone. So just treat the dead with respect. The spirit world will love you more for it, and they will give you the answers in return. So
do you want to give a little hint about that grounding method? Sounds interesting. I'm not twisting your arm.
Just imagine the tree of life above your crown chakra, and bury and take away all the energy that's around you. Let go of the white light, let go of the mirrors, let go of all the things that you do to protect yourself, because right away you have the tree of life above your crown chakra, and it's rerouting through your crown, through your third eye, through your throat chakra, through your heart, sacral, and root. And make sure that you take those roots and you put them under your feet and let that sit, and it protects you for the night. It gives you a sense of peace. And what it's doing is what the elementals do, is it just takes away all the pieces that don't belong, and they give us oxygen to breathe, and they're doing the same thing. They rip all of that stuff that's around us. So I'm so positive about that, and it helps me keep me sane, and it makes me able to have this calmness when I have a conversation with people, that I don't get so worked up. Unless you're really trying to hurt me, then you're going to hear the wrath of Jim Hunt.
That's good. I like that. All right. So what do? You know, we were talking just quickly about protection. What do you do in just your everyday protection?
My everyday protection, and everyone asks me that, and It's just like putting one pant leg in at a time. And what it is I immediately white light myself.
Yeah.
I immediately have a shroud of mirrors around me, invert the mirrors so that anything that is going to be challenging or negative towards me, it bounces right back to the dead. The ones that are malicious or trying to hurt me, they just get it twofold. I do not worry about being hurt or thrown under a bus by the dead. They give me the respect and I give them the respect back. And I beg everyone that does this, and this is coming from my heart, do not ever show fear, ever, in what we're doing. You cannot. You show fear, you will be taken advantage of. And I have no fear. So, and I think that's why I'm so good at what I do, without sounding narcissistic.
No. And that's true. I mean, I go by the white light. I suggest people when there's negativity around to use the mirrors, but I never thought to kind of shroud myself with the mirrors as well. I mean, that's a brilliant tip. And
it doesn't take any more energy away from you. It actually enhances your energy because you get to breathe while you're trying to work, because you know how inundated we can get with people, or I call them people. I don't call them the dead. Yeah. And everyone's the people. And they're calmer when they talk to you because we're acting calm. So why not be able to speak to them? And I speak the same way when I do readings. I don't change I'm not monotone. I am excitable, but I'm always trying to give an answer or work together to give an answer because the dead is giving me the answers. Yeah.
And the main thing, too, is offer respect. You know, I mean, even if it's some disgruntled spirit, it was somebody's mother, father, brother, sister, you know, I mean, they were human.
They were human. And listen, we all leave this earth sometimes with our own challenges and embarrassments and things that we've done that we felt bad for. But that was our soul's purpose. And we get to talk to the other spirits saying, you chose this life, you chose your parents, you chose everything about you, and it was your job to change it or fix it and manifest positive energy, people, because if you don't, you're just going to come back and do it all over again.
It's amazing. Well, one more time, can you give out your website? Sure. And go ahead.
Marla, first of all, I want to thank you. It was an honor to talk to you. And our last-minute rush thing here, I guess we're both seasoned professionals here. But thank you very much for tonight. I really enjoyed the questions. They were marvelous. And to your fan base and my friends out there, thank you very much. My website is jimhuntofficial.com. And everyone, it's so easy to follow. And you'll get a reading. You'll get a session booked in there. You might wait 2 weeks, but it's worth it. I'm telling you.
I'm sure it is. All right. And please do come back. We'll talk about that later on.
You will.
And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight as well. And I was going to say something and then I forgot it. So anyway, let's do Blessed Be. Merry meet again. And until next time, good night.
This has been another edition of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Be sure to tune in next week at the same time for another great guest and more fun. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2009.
You have been listening to the Para X Radio Network.